I am in the Court of Appeal, Nigeria. I have not particularly had a personal experience in trying trafficking offenses. However, I will state that there are two categories of trafficking in Nigeria. One, young persons being trafficked from neighboring countries, mostly females, for purposes of domestic, let me say, employment. When they are brought into they are smuggled into the country by people we refer to as agencies. And most of these agents are women, mothers themselves. When they bring in these young persons, they are distributed into homes and they collect like 1 or 2 years remuneration. They collect transportation and all sorts of things, and they drop the young person in the home. In Nigeria, mostly, we as mothers, we have sympathy for these young persons, and they are mostly treated well. I know of cases where when they go into the homes, we are eager to give them education, particularly when we discover that they are smart. We want to register them in schools because we take pride in touching lives. When you train somebody who's not your own biological child, you feel more fulfilled. So sometimes we have the urge to register them in school or even give them some vocation. Unfortunately, as soon as the agents discover that you are trying to enlighten or raise the standard of these young persons, they will come around with stories. The mother died, they want him back, this and that happened, we want to take him back. Sometimes they don't even allow them to serve the 2 years remuneration they have taken, they take them away. Not because of anything, but because they have discovered that you want to raise their standard, you want to give them some form of education. But there is nothing you can do, you have to let them go. That's one. When it has been discovered that this trafficking of young persons was becoming too high and abnormal, then the government took action. You now find that when immigration officers raid markets, when they discover that these are foreign young persons, they arrest the employers. What happens after the arrest, I may not be able to say, but I know that many people have been arrested by immigration service for employing these young persons. And it is ongoing. The second category is actually that's the one that has caught the world attention. That is the trafficking of young Africans outside Africa. And that is the most unfortunate ones, because you discover that those who are being trafficked outside, mostly is even voluntary trafficking. They give themselves hope for the trafficking, they want to be trafficked, and unfortunately, even the parents pay for the agents. We know of cases where the parents had to sell their land, they have to sell their properties to pay the agents, with the promise that they will procure visa for them, they will take them abroad, and they will take better employment. So you find young graduates, even master's degree holders, well-educated people, people in whom the family have invested their life savings, they have invested their hope and aspirations that will take over. But because of the economic situation, that hope was becoming unrealizable. So the parents they are forced to take that painful decision to let their wards go, and then they will have to provide the money for the. Unfortunately, it is not always the case. The first time I watched a documentary on CNN, it was called The Exodus from Africa by Sorio Samora. I think he's from Sierra Leone or Ivory Coast. When I watched that program, it was in a day to 9/11. I remember very well. He tracked young persons who were being trafficked from Ghana. That entourage comprised of young persons from Ghana, Nigeria, Niger. They were taken through the desert, about 20 of them. Only one reached Spain alive. Only one. And when he followed him in Spain, he was sleeping on the street until he was rescued by a non-governmental organization. While the African problem is peculiar, is that over the centuries, I can say since the beginning of time, Africa has been experiencing human trafficking. It started from slavery. Many millions were taken out of Africa. After the independence from colonial masters, Africa had hope that we were independent, we are going to manage our own resources. But alas, it was not to be. We were free on paper. We were free politically. But economically, as of today, we are still dependent on Europeans and Americans. Africa has never had control of its natural and human resources. We have never had control of the wealth of Africa. And because of that, there is lack of development. Today, social media has come in. Everybody is aware of what is happening around the world. The youths are aware. They are better educated. They have their hopes and aspirations. They too want good life. And they have to look for it in some way. I know we are here as judicial officers to take proactive actions when cases are charged to court. But can we take a pause and look at the root cause of human trafficking? We have all agreed here that it is poverty. For Africa particularly, is poverty. Where is that poverty coming from? Why can't we do something to tackle that poverty? I know that where we are now is an opportunity to appeal to His Excellency Pope to please tap on the conscience of the world leaders to allow the wealth of this world to be redistributed so that the rich stop taking from the poor. The developed nations deliberately create situations of conflict and wars. And the outcome of that is movement of people. The outcome of that lays a fertile land for traffickers. Look at Syria. We see them going in droves. They don't go around. The other time they were interviewing some of them who were settled in Greece and very young persons. They said, how did you get here? Is it free? They said, no, it can never far be free. Any step you see us taking, we pay dearly for it. Why? Conflict was deliberately created. Those who are feeding on that conflict that was deliberately created by world leaders and human traffickers. They are getting away with millions of dollars, billions of dollars. So can we, for once, put our attention, appeal to the conscience of world leaders, instead of spending trillions of dollars and amassing weapons of mass destruction in creating war? Can they spend those millions of dollars to create development? Can they, for once, allow Africa to retain their wealth? Can they, for once, stop encouraging corrupt leaders to bring stolen money to stash in their own countries? Can they, for once, not allow those leaders to get away, seek exile, and enjoy the wealth on their own soil? Can they, for once, in all consciousness, return the wealth of Africa and allow Africa to develop and the rest of the poor world? Because I know, no matter what we do here, no matter how many cases are charged to court, no matter how many persons are even condemned to death, once the root cause of trafficking, which is poverty, is not addressed, there is no way we can get around it. I thank the Pontifical University for giving me this opportunity. I raise my case for now.
Thank you very much. Now we will hear from Anwuri Chikere from Nigeria. She is a justice at the Federal High Court. Thank you.
About this question of the poverty, we completely agree. No, but only in the SDGs, that is in the objective of sustainable development of the United Nations, the first objective is to eradicate poverty, but the people don't give money. That is the injustice. The Pope Pope Francis in the two documents speak about this. So say this, that the great cause of the injustice is the poverty, and the poverty is made by the people to have money that not want there are the 1% of the humanity that have all the money, the 99 don't have it. That is very clear. So if you write a letter to the Pope, 1 page, we can give the letter to the Pope to say, oh, this is the opinion also of the judges. Oh, thank you.